Welcome to Insert Brain here, a Simpsons podcast, Season 1, Episode 2, Bart the Genius, with David and, as always, Connor.
Hello.
Hello.
Today we're talking about Season 1, Episode 2, Bart the Genius.
Yes, the first episode, the full lot that's actually got an intro.
Technically the first episode of the season. Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire was actually a Christmas special. So when this episode aired at the time, Fox promoted it as a season premiere.
Right, fair enough.
And not just the first episode with the main title theme by Danny Elfman, but actually the first episode with any kind of opening credits at all.
Yes, that's a good point, yeah.
I mean, it's not the iconic opening sequence, it's a wee bit different to what we would eventually end up getting.
Yeah, I think it's definitely different from what everyone seems to remember, at least.
Yeah, there's that weird bit with the bus stop.
Yeah, I didn't remember that was a thing.
From what I can remember, that bus stop scene's in Season 1, and then that's it. I'm pretty sure from Season 2 onwards, they swap it out for the intro that everyone remembers.
Right.
It goes past Moe's Tavern, and Barney's there, and Chief Wiggum, and...
Yeah, I remember that stuff, but...
Yeah.
I didn't remember that bus stop thing, and I don't know about you, but I didn't recognize any of those characters. One of them looked like a suspiciously close to Bart.
Yeah, he looks like middle-aged Bart.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a really great YouTube video. I'll insert the name of it here. The Simpsons No-No Sheets by Kid Leaves Stoop, which goes into the sequence with these characters that only appear in the opening credits and only ever in Season 1.
Right.
So they're only in like 12 episodes and only in the opening credits. The video goes into their design and why their design breaks certain rules of The Simpsons, character design, but also how certain aspects have been sampled and moved into other characters.
Right. Ah, sounds pretty interesting.
Aye, but now obviously Bart swings around the lamppost and he goes past Moe and Chief Wiggum and there's the TVs with Krusty on them that are still there.
Yeah.
And now in even more modern Simpsons in the HD opening credits, it's just characters stuffed in every which way they can be.
I haven't seen some of the modern ones for a long time.
Yeah, we're going to get into it eventually.
We will.
It'll be a culture shock.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But now, what did you think the episode was about?
So the episode, like the theme, the general plot, Bart obviously is thinking he's an idiot at this point because everyone keeps telling him he's an idiot and he's useless and he's a clown and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then he obviously switches with Martin.
Yeah, Martin Prince, aye.
Martin Prince switches their test results, their assessment results. And yeah, now he's a genius with an IQ of like 216, I think it was.
Yeah, it was 216, yeah.
And then he ends up going to this, the genius school for gifted children and all that kind of stuff. That obviously doesn't fit in because he's not a genius.
No, he isn't. I would even say he's portrayed as being particularly stupid in this episode, like he is in some future episodes.
I wouldn't say so. I would... He's obviously not someone that's academically minded, but I wouldn't say he's portrayed as an idiot. But everyone in the episode does keep basically reminding him, essentially, not word for word at any point, really, I think, but essentially just keeps reminding him he's an idiot.
And this is Krabappel especially.
Yeah. Falls over after falling asleep in class because he's sitting at the window where the sun is, like I'm in a hot classroom before, and the struggle to stay awake. It's not like surprising that someone would fall asleep at the window, especially if you're right at the fucking window looking out.
And it looks like it's a sunny day, so...
Yeah. So...
I mean, it always is, unless it's raining.
Yeah.
In the animated world of early season Simpsons, it's always a summer day unless it isn't.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But yeah, I think, obviously, when he's seen as like the special kid, Homer's really nice to him. He's like the father that you would want.
Yeah, Homer's really great as a father in this episode. He actually acts like a fairly normal dad.
Yeah. Like the American dream sort of father. Let's go play catch and, all that kind of stuff.
But I mean, he is still Homer. He's not like a different person,
Yeah.
When they go to the opera, he's still goofing around with Bart, making fart noises with his hand and talking about the fat lady singing on stage as a cue to leave.
He's still an idiot. Yeah. But yeah, he's still like, he's obviously like an ideal dad at this point, which I think has got a lot to do with why it took Bart so long to actually say anything about it.
Yeah.
About why he's not fitting in. He's not a genius. He did cheat by just switching the names.
I like that all the kids at Smart School are also arseholes and are also bullies.
Mm.
Like, they haven't been introduced yet, but like Nelson or Jimbo, Dolph, and Kearney.
Yeah.
It's just a different type of bullying.
Aye. Yeah, they're bullying him because he's not as smart as they are, so they're using scientific lingo and all that kind of stuff to get around, or like measurements that you wouldn't know unless you were doing advanced like quantum mechanics or some shit. You wouldn't know that kind of like these measurements for the milk.
Yeah, saying stuff like what is it, the weight of a bowling ball on Jupiter's third moon is the weight of a grape or something like
exactly. That. Yeah, things like that. They're using their brains to bully him instead, but instead of brawn. But yeah, they're still assholes.
Aye, they're still kids, you know. They still bully Bart for his lunch. They just don't beat him up for it.
Yeah. So yeah, he's in no better a position.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, he's in an even worse position because he can't even be that class clown type of character that he usually is in Mrs. Krabappel's class.
Yeah, because there's still a moderate level of popularity that would come with that sort of role in a standard school.
Aye.
Whereas in the gifted school, if you come on, you would have been. There's no way that the Simpsons could afford to put him through that school.
I was surprised that didn't come up. I mean, the cost of a gifted school never comes up.
It's got to have been like a bursary system. He got to have had it given to him essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, his performance would have eventually meant he would never have been able to stay at that school because they wouldn't be able to pay for that.
I think there's actually a later episode where they talk about how Lisa should have gone to a school like that and the family couldn't afford to send her to it.
Yeah.
Which is why she's at Springfield Elementary with Bart.
Which would allude to the fact that she must have an IQ of lower than 216.
Well, I think she's meant to be smarter than Martin. I feel like that's established later on.
I feel like it is, yeah.
Even though she's younger than Martin, she's smarter than him.
Yeah. I feel like that is actually supposed to be the case. If that's the case, then and Martin tested with an IQ of 216 in this episode, and he got a bursary system.
Also, I like how Bart gets this bursary system and sent to a school for kids who are insanely smart. But when they revert the score back and find out it was actually Martin's score, Martin's in that same class with Bart for the next 35 years. At no point does Martin get the bursary. He gets sent off to some super smart school where he probably would have excelled.
He would have, yeah.
You know? And he was the smartest person in the class of super smart kids as well.
Yes, yeah, aye. It was
so smart to the point where the guy's the principal, or not the principal, the Dr. Pryor has in his office two photos: Albert Einstein and Bart Simpson.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, if he was that smart, then obviously Martin would be like, yeah, he'd be off into that school as well. And also, if Lisa's smarter than him, why didn't she get some sort of bursary system later on?
Oh, it's the patriarchy, that's why.
Probably.
They didn't want women in STEM in 1989 when this episode was written.
Probably not, no. And obviously they didn't want Martin in that STEM cell either.
Oh, Martin's... No, he's kind of not quite a boy.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
I think they established that he's queer, or at the very least some form of gay eventually. I feel like there's some sort of episode where they jump to the future and they establish that he's got a boyfriend or two. And this is actually his first appearance, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't... Well,
this is episode 2.
Yeah, it's episode 2.
He's not had many chances to make a first appearance, but he isn't in the first episode, no.
Yeah.
It's also the first appearance of his parents, Martha and Martin Prince Sr.
Right. The opera. Yeah, because it's them. It's his father that's like asking about who the hell these idiots are when it's the Simpsons mucking about.
Yeah, they're down in the normal floor seats as well, whereas the Simpsons are up in the...
Yeah, how the hell did
How
Mark
did they afford that?
get the money for that?
Like the previous episode was the one where Homer's scrounging around on the floor of a car park outside of a dog racing track.
Yeah.
And now they're just like, yeah, let's go to the opera.
Aye, in what is it, box seats? Are they box seats? Whatever the hell they are.
Box seats is like
stands.
Stands are the...
That's in the main area. I can't even forget. I don't even remember.
Up in the alcoves, anyway.
Guys, up where the royalty
Up
normally sit. Yeah, up there.
It's also the first appearance of Mrs. Krabappel.
Right, yeah.
Voiced by Marcia Wallace.
Yep.
She also voices the other teacher, Bart's smart class teacher.
Right.
And that's the... here's a fun fact for you. That is the only character she has ever voiced outside of Mrs. Krabappel.
Alright, she's only ever been Mrs. Krabappel then.
And that other teacher, his name escapes me right now.
Yeah.
She never shows up again anyway.
Fair enough. Well, if she would, then Martin wouldn't have been at fucking Springfield then, would he? Can that science explosion that Bart caused was so bad.
That it killed her?
No, I didn't. I wouldn't have said. Well, maybe actually, because he said we're not mad necessarily.
Yeah, he's like, well, 2 birds, 1 stone. You know, you're back to your old school, and we got rid of whatever her name was.
Aye, Mrs. Krabappel sounded like.
Yeah, Mrs. Krabappel's smarter sister.
Yeah, that's it. But do you reckon it was so bad an explosion that school closed down?
I think it shows up in a different episode. I think it's the same exterior that's used when Lisa goes to the smart school, but they can't afford to put her there. But I could be wrong.
Right.
But that teacher isn't there, and Dr. Pryor doesn't show up, I don't think, in that episode. But I'm fairly sure it's the same exterior. I want to say it's the Springfield School for the Gifted.
Right.
Well, this is also the first appearance of Dr. Pryor, as we've mentioned, Dr. Lauren J. Pryor.
Yeah.
Kind of the school psychiatrist. He does appear briefly in a few future episodes, but he sort of gets replaced by Superintendent Chalmers.
Oh, yeah.
As Skinner's sort of character to bounce off of.
Yeah.
In the school, you don't really need the psychiatrist, Dr. Pryor, when you've got Gary Chalmers to come in and, you know...
yeah, exactly.
Super Nintendo all over the place. First appearance of Richard.
You said that and I'm like, nothing, blank in the face.
Blank, aye. Richard is a little boy with grey hair. I think he calls Bart Poindexter. He's playing marbles with Milhouse and Lewis.
He's grey hair. Aye.
Yeah, and like a blue jacket.
Yeah.
Yep. First appearance of Richard, and he's actually still in the show now.
Is he? Oh.
Well, those 2 friends that Bart has, Lewis and Richard, they kind of get relegated to background roles.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly.
I seem so, because I remembered neither of them.
Lewis was in the previous episode.
Oh, I know. But I just didn't remember him even from that episode.
Oh, that was only a week ago.
Yeah, I know. It's not that memorable. Which is probably why he gets a background role.
I shunted off to the background with Wendell.
Yeah, aye.
Also, sort of, the first appearance of Radioactive Man.
Right. Because he's in that comic, isn't he?
Yeah, it's not the same design.
No.
As Radioactive Man as he appears going on, where he's kind of like a Flash type costume, red and yellow. There's no Radioactive Man stuff over here, by the way, in the background.
Just checking.
He's got a red suit on and sometimes has a cape.
Right, yeah.
So it's a different design, but the comic is still called Radioactive Man.
All right, nice.
Kind of the first appearance of Krusty the Clown as well, because Bart is eating Krusty Flakes.
Yes.
And he has a photo of Krusty in his room.
Yep. And obviously this is also the first intro where we've got Krusty TVs that he's already skated past as well.
Yeah, he skates past Krusty TVs.
Yep.
Well, that's it for first appearances for this episode. Not many, considering it's the second episode.
Yeah, exactly. But we did run through quite a few in the last episode.
First episode really pounds them out, you know?
Yeah.
Pounds them out with those Krusty TVs.
Yep.
Maggie's Krusty TVs.
Fuck, jeez.
This is also the first time that Bart says his iconic catchphrase. He says, "Eat my shorts" to Martin.
He does, yes.
And Martin, who kind of takes on a villainous role in this episode.
Yeah.
Which isn't really indicative of the roles he would take on in the future. He tends to be portrayed as being more meek.
Yeah, he's definitely not as antagonizing.
He's not really trying to, rub Bart up the wrong way.
Yeah, which he's definitely doing a lot of in this episode.
Yeah.
Like, he's not, I wouldn't say he's in it a lot as such, but,
It comes and goes, Martin.
Yeah.
He still gets spotlight episodes and full speaking parts now.
Yeah, but yeah, he really was quite antagonistic in this one.
He's sitting outside under that tree making faces at Bart.
Pulling faces, yeah.
Bart makes that classic Tracy Ullman show face where he has the long mouth.
Yeah.
No, they don't make those crazy faces anymore.
They barely even put them face on anymore.
Oh, this episode is like 90% face on Simpsons.
So much face on Simpsons, it's so weird.
It feels like you're on a Zoom call with Principal Skinner.
Yeah.
He's so face on in almost every single scene that he has.
Yeah, it's a lot. Every time they zoom in, it's just straight on.
It's not an angle they were designed to be seen from.
No.
Oh, I mean, this entire season was made before they'd seen any other episodes, obviously. And produced kind of, not all at the exact same time, but around about the same kind of time frame. They split off the team of writers that they had and were like, you go and write and storyboard these episodes and these ones and these ones. So they couldn't really bounce off each other to get a reading on what styles of writing or character depictions really worked. It was really just sort of experimenting and figuring stuff out.
That explains quite a lot, I would imagine, between the sort of vast differences between... This is just 2 episodes as well.
Yeah. Massive differences in the pacing and the art style.
Yeah.
That weird thing where whenever you're in the Simpsons house, all the walls behind them have like a gradient.
Yeah. You've got this like orange, really strong orange in the bottom left and or in the right or whatever. Yeah. And then it's like washed out white on the other side of it with that sort of like sunset gradient going across it. It's really strange.
Yeah, I'm so glad they ditched that.
Yeah, it's really odd. It's completely different from the last episode.
Yeah, everything's very solid colour-wise in the last episode, as far as I can remember anyway.
Yeah. I don't remember any of that colour gradient kind of stuff, or certainly not to that extent anyway. It was almost like it was behind a filter behind the Simpsons. It was really strange.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, it was either like they turned it up to 9, or like right up. So if there is a colour gradient in the other episode, then...
flew past me. There was a lot to notice in the last episode. That's true, yeah.
But I reckon that maybe it would have made more sense if they could afford things like this in this episode, if the previous episode wasn't episode 1, like it wasn't supposed to be. Yeah,
that whole juggling of episodes.
It might have made a bit more sense, but it like really doesn't make any sense now. Also, we don't see a dog. Or I don't think we even see the cat. Do we even see the cat?
I don't think we see the cat. Maybe we do at some point. Maybe Snowball 2 was in the background at some point.
Maybe, but...
Santa's Little Helper hasn't canonically been found yet. I don't think he shows up until if at least another 6 or 7 episodes. He's non-existent at this point.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Speaking of things that are coloured weird, I don't know if you noticed, but Milhouse has black hair in this.
So he does.
And black eyebrows, but he's a famously blue-haired character. Him and his mum and his dad.
Yeah.
But in this episode, he has a black hairstyle.
Was Milhouse in episode 1?
Yes.
Yeah.
But he has blue hair for most of that, and then there's 1 or 2 frames.
Right.
Where he has black hair. I think they hadn't decided the direction they were going to go in.
Clearly.
And blue hair is the way to go. I mean, black hair, he looks like the... What's the name of that kid who gets bullied in Dennis the Menace? Walter something?
Oh.
Not Walter Matthau, not Walter White. Walter something. Walter Windmill, something like that.
Yeah. I can't remember the name. But yeah. Blue hair was definitely the way to go for that one. It also, would make more sense with the dad. I don't think the dad would have looked anywhere near as normal.
Yeah.
Saying that when he looks normal, he's yellow with blue hair. He wouldn't have looked right.
He wouldn't have fit the world of The Simpsons.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
I think Skinner is coloured wrong as well. I think his suit is the wrong colour.
yeah.
And so is Lewis and Richard. Their clothes aren't the same colours as they are in later episodes.
Yeah.
Still lots of teething issues.
I think it probably is exacerbated by the fact that they split up the writers and the...
Some of the animation's being sent to one company, some of it was being sent to South Korea, I think.
Yeah.
Some of it, actually, that long sequence where Bart is writing the outline for his plan and then his confession, was animated by one person.
Well, was it?
Yeah, one of the lead animators in America.
Alright, well. Fair enough.
I have a new segment of the show that I'm going to slot right in here.
Okay, yep.
It's called Meme Spot.
Meme Spot.
Did you spot the meme in this episode?
I did not.
The shot where Principal Skinner walks up to Bart and his friends and he sees the graffiti on the wall. It's like a low-angle shot where he's looking off to the side. That's the pathetic meme. It's that shot but with the word pathetic on it.
Oh, right, yeah, so it is. Yeah.
This is the first of many.
Simpsons memes. Nice.
Yeah. So that has been Meme Spot for this episode.
Right. I like the starting of this one, the him writing on the chalkboard, I will not waste chalk.
Yeah.
That's fucking stupid.
Those chalkboard gags in this season aren't jokes.
Yeah.
It's just something he's writing on the chalkboard, like, I will not waste chalk.
Yeah, and the fact that he's writing out in chalk, wasting chalk.
Yeah, he's wasting chalk.
Yeah, but
they're really trying to set Bart up as this little kind of rapscallion, a rule breaker kind of figure.
Yeah.
You know, I think we're still at the point where he's kind of the main character.
Pretty much, yeah. Because I think you were saying earlier on that there's in this season there's 2 episodes in 12 or 13.
Yeah, 2 of the episodes have really similar names.
Yeah.
This one is Bart the Genius. And I want to say episode 5 or 6 is Bart the General. Yeah.
So, like, 2 of the episodes are clearly centered around Bart.
He's kind of one of the focuses of the first episode. I'd say it's split between him and Homer.
Yeah, I would say that as well.
And the next episode, which we'll talk about next week, is Homer's Odyssey.
Yeah.
The book Homer's Odyssey is actually in Bart's genius classroom.
It is, yeah, when they pan over it.
I think they have the Iliad and Odyssey right next to each other.
Yes, they do. And not far away is Moby Dick. Yep. I remember seeing that one in there as well. It's right next to them.
And a book of Shakespeare.
Oh, well, it might not be right next to them, just in case anyone wants to look up that particular
fact
shot.
check.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Slap you down.
Yeah.
I'll have you know it's 3 books apart.
it's on the same frickin' row, right? And the panoramic scene, it's there. Look for it. It's one of the biggest writing books.
Yeah.
It's got massive writing on the side.
It's hard to spot all the sign jokes in these earlier episodes. I mean, we watched this on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I watched the DVD when I did the research for the episode, but when we watch the episodes before we record, sometimes it's easier to just
fire on Disney Plus.
Fire it up on Disney Plus and stream it.
Yeah.
And there's so many shots where things were kind of fuzzy, almost out of focus.
Yeah.
It can become really hard to read those little signs in the background.
To me, just actually like to notice after about 3 different shots of the school, the secondary school that he gets sent to. Well, secondary, whatever, the special school that he gets sent to. It took me ages to actually see that bloody sign properly because it was so blurry that it was difficult to actually read it.
Yeah.
So, and that's quite big writing.
It is indeed.
But it's that blurry.
Speaking of special schools, there's a deleted, I don't think it was ever even animated, but it was written where there was going to be this scene in the episode where Principal Skinner and Dr. Pryor talk to Martin and his parents and say that they are going to send Martin to a school for, and I quote, retarded children.
Oh, wow.
Because obviously Bart just randomizes. Bart just randomizes the answers in the test.
He could have literally got everything wrong.
Yeah, so I'm glad he didn't do that.
It's probably for the best. That would have definitely
aged the episode incredibly poorly.
It would have, yeah. But it would also have really set up like Bart and Martin to come to a loggerheads, like a real loggerheads with each other.
Yeah.
Which, surprisingly enough, I don't think happens, considering the fact that Bart ruined his chances going to...
You know, I'd love to see the sequel to this episode now in season 34 or 35 or whatever, where they're like, Martin discovers that he could have gone to the school for gifted children in Springfield had Bart not stolen a paper in season 1, episode 2.
Yeah, we give them another story. Why not?
Yeah, that's why Martin's parents appear later on in the opera. They'd already designed their characters and decided they were going to appear in the episode in that scene.
But then they just decided not to go with that scene, which is for the best. For the best. Yeah. Oh, you can just imagine if they decided to go with that and then decided to run a scene from that school.
I have this creepy feeling in the back of my neck that there's a scene in a school like that in one of these early episodes.
Fair enough. I don't remember the early episodes
I
well
just seem
enough.
to remember Bart getting sent to a school for
special needs individuals.
We'll get to it when we get to it.
Yeah.
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah.
On a lighter note,
Yes.
Homer's banana.
It's like black or brown.
It's really dark brown with an almost white inside.
Yeah.
It turns out in South Korea at the time, in 1989, they didn't have bananas. They'd never seen a banana before. When they sent the stills off to be coloured there, they were like, what's a banana?
And what colour is it?
And what colour is it? What does it look like? They had no idea.
Fair enough.
Quijibo, the word that Bart invents to describe the type of ape that Homer is in the Scrabble scene.
Yeah.
That inspired the Melissa virus hacker. That's who that virus was accredited to. Someone called Quijibo.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
After the fictional ape that Bart invented.
I like the fact that
it was also the name of a zine.
The name of a
zine, you know, like a little magazine. It's self-published.
Right. Yeah. All right, cool.
Quijibo.
Huh. Nice. I like the fact that Marge jumps in with another description for this Quijibo, even though she's never heard the word in her life.
Yeah, aye.
He's like, and I can't even remember exactly what she jumps in with, but she jumps in with going, and such as
yeah, she jumps in with short-tempered.
Like, aye, short-tempered. It's like she actually cottoned on to what he was getting at.
Yeah. The explosion that Bart causes, the massive green goop explosion.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to read this verbatim because I copied it off the internet.
Okay.
I am not a scientist. When an acid and a base are placed together, they react to neutralize the acid and base properties, producing a salt. The H+ cation of the acid combines with the OH- anion of the base to form water. The compound formed by the cation of the base and the anion of the acid is called a salt. It wouldn't have caused an explosion, it would just have made salt.
Yeah. Aye, it'd have made a salt as opposed to a big green goop.
Aye, that dyed Bart's skin.
Yeah, aye. Did I remember Homer saying that he was going to use acetone?
Turpentine.
Why did I think acetone?
Acetone to develop him into a photograph.
Yeah, exactly. Aye. That's why I was so confused. Obviously, I just fucking made that up. Obviously, just fucking made that shit up.
The design for Dr. Pryor was originally a design for Skinner.
All right, was it?
Yeah, one of the alternate designs that they just
scrapped.
They did that a lot in the early years, where you'd have a lot of potential designs. I think one of the designs that was meant for Martin, but didn't become his final design, obviously, is one of the background kids at the school. He has kind of a short ginger hair and a middle parting.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough.
I'll say we're well in trivia now.
Okay.
The opera that the Simpsons go to see is George Bizet's Carmen.
See, I thought that this was actually an opera.
This is a real opera.
Yeah, I figured it was. I just couldn't remember which opera, because I don't know my opera.
I don't know my opera either. It's not really making a thing.
No.
That's why I do a Simpsons podcast.
And not an opera podcast.
That's actually my second podcast that I record.
That's the one.
It was originally written with a libretto. And I know all of this because of my other podcast. We already covered Carmen on that podcast, which is why I know all of this. Which means the lyrics were in French.
Right.
However, the recording used in this episode, I don't know if you caught it, was in the Russian.
It's in Russian.
There's a sign outside that says...
It says now only in Russian.
That's because Fox already had the rights to a Russian recording of the opera.
Right.
And they were not willing to shell out for another recording in French. This has been our weekly segment, Opera Watch. Excited to see what kind of opera facts I can slip into
to the rest.
Homer's Odyssey.
Yep.
Oh, I have one more opera fact.
Ah.
The conductor of the opera is identified as Boris Zipovsky.
Okay.
Which is a play on the name of producer and supervising animator director Gabor Supel.
Right.
I never finished the opera corner or whatever I called it.
The opera segment or something.
Opera orgasms or whatever.
That's what it's going to be called from now on, though.
Ornamental opera origami orgasms.
Sorted. That's
the name of the new podcast.
Yeah. The new podcast. That one's been running for ages.
Years. I'm rebranding because I've ran out of operas to talk about.
That's fair.
Bart's line, "You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't," can be heard multiple times during the song Deep Deep Trouble on the album The Simpsons Sing the Blues.
I did not know that.
You didn't know there was a blues album by The Simpsons?
Not at all.
Oh, well, we're going to dedicate an entire episode to it whenever we get to that point.
Whenever we get to the relevant point in time.
I think it was between seasons 1 and 2, maybe, or 2 and 3.
Right.
We'll have to sit and listen to The Simpsons sing the blues and cover it.
Oh, man. It could be either really good or really terrible.
I think it's going to be really good. Maybe I'll do another podcast where I talk about the blues.
Maybe. We'll start another one.
Yeah, I'm just using this as a launching pad.
That's it, yeah.
The design of Bart's visualization of the math problem was partially inspired by the art of Saul Steinberg. The increasing appearance of numbers derives from David Silverman's use of a similar tactic when he had to develop a set design for a play called The Adding Machine. Each successive scene in the sequence was shorter than the one before it by exactly 1 frame.
Huh.
Which is why it gets that kind of...
Yeah, that sort of rushed man
effect, like it's speeding up the longer it goes on.
Yeah, yeah.
Like a train.
Yeah. Till it gets maximum speed and then it's not speeding up anymore.
Then it hits another train.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
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 Aye.
That's how every train ride goes. It's amazing we can even get to anywhere.
And this is I don't know if this is true or not. I'm going to throw it in trivia anyway, but take it with the fattest pinch of salt you can muster, alright? If you listen closely, the squeaking noises off camera of Bart's classmates pushing in their chairs upon arrival for the IQ test after the bell rang are in rhythm to the tune of the nursery rhyme Three Blind Mice.
Wait, what?
The sound of the students pushing their chairs in.
Yeah.
As they arrive, or pulling them out or whatever, as they arrive for the IQ test, is to the theme of Three Blind Mice.
I kind of want that to be true.
I'm not going to bring up the episodes and double check.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going to go on blind faith that that's true.
I want it to be true, so it's true.
How does Three Blind Mice even go?
3 blind mice, 3 blind mice, see how they run.
Da, 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 da. Oh, we'll discover more about that in our new podcast, Three Blind Mice.
You know what? I was a child the last time I heard that, so yeah.
You're going to be hearing it a lot when we do our podcast dedicated to it. And we'll cover the Shrek movies, because they're in those.
They're in there, yes.
Yeah.
A lot less 3 blind micey, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're still 3 blind mice.
My last bit of trivia.
Okay.
Dr. Jane Goodall
Right.
famous chimp doctor, obviously gets a shout out in this episode.
Yep.
She said she was honoured to have been mentioned in an episode of the show and even sent an autographed copy of her book to the writers.
All right. Awesome.
Jane Goodall is a fan of The Simpsons.
Nice. Yeah. Awesome. That is good.
That's the end of trivia.
Yeah.
We don't need a name for that segment.
It can't just be trivia. We need something.
Android's Dungeon baseball card, something to do with Comic Book Guy. I feel like he's a very trivia based character.
He is. You thought of that, and I thought 3 blind mice. I'll do.
Every episode from this point on, I'm going to say it's time for 3 blind mice trivia. And then we'll jump into the trivia for the episode, which may or may not mention 3 blind mice.
Probably not from now on.
I severely doubt
it. And it may or may not have anything to do with the show either. It might not actually be a true fact.
It might have something to do with the opera, though. There's at least one piece of trivia every episode moving forward where I won't know if it's true or not.
Yeah.
And maybe if I can't find one, who knows, maybe I'll slip in a fake one.
Aye, why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Keep people on their toes.
Yeah.
Don't believe everything you hear on Simpsons-based podcasts.
Don't believe everything you hear on any podcast.
Especially not ones about 3 blind mice.
Or the opera. Or the Simpsons.
Or the Simpsons.
Any of them by us.
Is there anything else we need to cover?
We talked about the animation at the end of the last one, and I reckon the last podcast.
The last episode, aye.
Yeah. I reckon in this one, the biggest difference was there was a lot more front-on shots.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more... The pacing of this episode feels a lot closer to, not modern, but later episodes.
Yeah.
The first episode feels like...
slow, very slow.
Yeah, all the scenes in this are very short besides that confession writing scene.
Yeah. But, the pacing definitely was, like, way faster, and this one much, much more in keeping with, like you said, like, later episodes, not, like, modern, but later episodes, and definitely in a way better a pace than episode 1.
Yeah, the animation, I would say, better than episode 1, but it's still not quite...
I think it is better than episode 1.
Yeah, I have a feeling this was later on in the production schedule originally.
Right.
I don't think this was meant to be episode 2.
Right. It's all so strange the way the series 1 is constructed. It's almost a wonder has ever actually got...
And by this point, it had taken off as a hit already.
Yeah.
Like it was out of the gates a smash hit. Which is incredible, looking back at the episodes now. And
the way it was cobbled together in season 1. Yeah.
I have to start somewhere.
Well, yeah, don't get me wrong, it's obviously not their fault. It wasn't like they were intending on this shoddy sort of get up for season 1. It was obviously well planned out initially.
Mm-hmm.
But, things happen, so it's what it is. But obviously it worked for them, so. But it's shoddily put together as our podcast, so. Especially the one about.
Which one? Which are podcasts? The opera one? I think the opera one is the best one.
No, it's the best name, hands down.
What was it called? What did I say?
Don't know.
That's when you know you're onto something.
Opera orgasm or something.
Orchestrated, operated, origami orgasms.
That's the one.
The 4 O's.
Yeah.
Ooh. That's what it's called in the opera circuits, man.
Oh, fucking
Alright, I think we can go there. It's not going to get any better than that.
No, definitely
I'm fucking
not.
crying here, man.
Oh, fucking Jesus.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Interview.
Oh, fucking Jesus. Oh, man. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, Okay. Well, thanks for joining us for another episode of Insert Brain here, a Simpsons podcast. I've been Connor.
I've been David.
And we'll catch you through the week for another episode of We'll see you next week when we come back to cover The Simpsons, Season 1, Episode 3, Homer's Odyssey.
Yeah, I had to think for a minute there for what that was called. Yep.
Even though we mentioned it in this episode.
Yes, we did.
Well, I mentioned a lot of things in this episode. Some of them might not be real.
Yes, yeah. Keep your eyes open for all the fake facts.
The Three Blind Men's podcast.
Did you say Three Blind Men?
I might have done. That's the other podcast that I do on my own.
That one's a food podcast, obviously.
Oh no, it's Three Blind Minsk.
Right, Minsk. Right.
I might do a Three Blind Mince podcast though.
Yeah, Minsk.
Not Mince.
Not Minsk.
Or Minsk.
Or Musk. Or Minsk, the place.
Yes. Alright, that's enough of this. Goodbye.